are live, and we're just going to wait a few seconds here to see who drops in before we get cooking. So, want to go ahead and start this off with just saying this is, for those who are not familiar, my name is Jesse. I'm the creator of Art and Void. This is a sacred. Okay, so I think everything should be running smoothly at this point. Again, my name is Jesse. Welcome to the Art and Void channel, first live stream that we're doing. And I'm getting some weird, funky errors, so bear with me. Okay. All right. So hopefully everyone can, if you can see this, drop me a comment. Okay. I'm getting some funky errors on my side, so it could just be my internet connection. But I wanted to dive in here to the topic of depression. This is something that I've dealt with my entire life. And I know a lot of other artists experience depression in various ways. And so this is just an opportunity to open up the conversation and depression, and maybe provide some insights to how I've navigated it in a way that has healed in a lot of ways and create a lot more empowerment. So for those, I don't know if anyone who's actually checked out some of my artwork and whether it's music or films and stuff, but there tends to be sort of a darker tone to it. But even for other artists who don't deal with sort of that kind of stuff, their artwork is a lot more light or fun, whatever it is. I still know that depression can be a heavy burden for a lot of people. And so I'm just want to, if you guys have any comments or anything that you've experienced along this path, I'd love to make this a dialogue. And so first off, just I'm not a health professional. I think I have to have some kind of disclaimer here, making sure that everyone knows that this is just my personal experience with this, and that if you are currently seeking professional help, this is in no ways meant to replace that or conflict with those sorts of things. But sharing my experience and the changes that have happened in my life, hopefully you can find some connection here and understand where this is all coming from. So the first thing, I want to see if we can reframe this or see if you guys actually connect to this, because it was a massive shift in my life when I understood depression not as an emotion and not as even like thoughts, and not even being overcome by emotions, but simply the idea of depression as energy. And so literally it is your energy being depressed. And so some of the reasons why I'll get into this later of like what to do with that. But when you can first understand that it is an experience of energy that is happening in you, and it is one, not your identity, and it is not something intrinsic to who you are. It starts to open up a lot of space to live with it and actually overcome it. This is my experience. And so when I realized that it's not even my personality, and a lot of times too, we artists can associate this mood, our moodiness, and our emotional state, our introvertedness, whatever we might be, as the self. But the more we can understand that the self is this eternal state, this eternal spirit of who you are, and these other things that are happening are just that, they are happenings, they are experiencing. So I've started to learn to be able to identify. Um, Welcome, everybody. Welcome to those who have joined the stream. Thank you. I'm talking about depression. And if you are, is this something you walk through or continue to navigate as an artist? I'd love for you to leave a comment and let me know if this is resonating with you or if you have any questions too. But yeah, so I've learned to develop a way to understand that it's more of just a state of energy. And there can be a lot of factors as to why that's happening in my life. Now, this just happened recently. So it was a reason why I wanted to actually talk about this, because for the most part of my life, I've actually grown a lot out of depression. And I remember from some of my earliest childhood memories, I was deeply depressed, but I wouldn't have known it at that time. I thought I was just being a withdrawn, quiet personality. But as I've grown up and I can reflect back, I realized what was actually happening was depression. And I was limiting myself in a lot of ways, hiding my voice, scared to express it in a lot of ways. Um, and so I was just known as the quiet, more the boy who kept to themselves. But then you realize something's not right. And again, I'm going to speak very honestly about this, but I'm also going to try to avoid some words that I think might, get me suppressed here on YouTube. But I think we all understand what we're talking about. But, as someone it doesn't seem quite right when a boy who's fourth or fifth grade is on the edge of, doing something that would be pretty extreme. I think you understand what I'm talking about. As just like a signal or sign that something's not, like, that's not just being a quiet boy. There's something deeper going on there. And so as I've grown and developed a lot of my own the spiritual practices and mindful practices, I can look back and see, no, there was more to it than that. But it wasn't just feelings happening. As I've started to navigate this for myself, it really does help to think about it in terms of energy, and the feelings and the emotions happen more so as signs that something is off. So when I'm talking about energy, I think about it in very simple terms that might be helpful. If you're not getting enough energy into your home, you need to connect it with something. You need more power in that home to turn on the lights, to run the refrigerator, whatever. This is kind of a silly metaphor, but I think you get where I'm going, because it is when in my life I feel connected to something, then the energy of the depressed energy is gone. And there are many reasons why that might be happening in your life or my life. And so I start to think about this in terms of, am I connected or not? Am I connecting to things that are life-giving, that are to that source of life and love and passion and people? So again, welcome everybody who's popping in and out. I'd love to know if you're an artist. Actually, share if you're an artist here, or if you've actually experienced some depression in your life. I'd love to know, see if this is making sense to anybody, if I can clarify anything as I move forward. So as I've gone through, I'm now 46 years old, but there are so many times throughout my life where the depression felt so heavy and so incapacitating. The thoughts were so dark and repetitive that it was leading to really rough spaces where it felt like I could not even function. And the more I have operated and figured out these different methods to notice that, then the more quickly I can consciously move and make decisions to change that state of energy. And I realize that sometimes this can come off as, a lot of times people who grow up with this association and depression, it can actually become kind of an identity. So learning to separate the self from these emotions can actually be a strange um, Stockholm syndrome kind of a thing. We can have a relationship to depression or different emotions that we actually don't really want to let go of. And so that comes through a lot of this conscious work that I develop and work on, and want to provide tools for all of you if this is resonating. So think about just like when you are connected with something, how alive you feel, and if that depression even exists. If you are feeling connected to a friend, um, if you are doing something that feels like this is what I was made to do, you have an aliveness about you. And that's what the big shift was for me. Um, Now, I want to also kind of talk about certain factors that can contribute to this that are beyond that, or actually the factors that are sometimes a little more challenging to operate with. But so, like, there's a situation that happens and it's totally normal. If there's a death of a loved one, you're going through a breakup, you lose a job, all that kinds of stuff. Those are situational things that happen in life that totally makes sense that you would be down and out. And there's a season of that. But I'm also just more so looking at the lifelong journey of those of us who've wrestled with this and try to navigate it when we feel like, oh, I know I want to do these things and I just can't, or why I'm having all these thoughts and feelings of low self-worth. And the 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 longer spectrum of that, rather than like the totally appropriate having a season to mourn, to grieve, and to feel whatever things are coming through you to their fruition. I'm talking about like the imbalance that a lot of us suffer with. Of this just feels like life, and life can feel different. That's what I want to offer, even for those of us who still are into things that are dark and moody and brooding, gothy, whatever it might be. That life can feel different. You don't have to exist in that framework and in that identity. And so this is one of the reasons why I provide things on this channel like meditations, and why that's a very helpful practice, is because you start to realize that this experience of these emotions are not you. And there are a couple of different kinds of meditations that I would encourage to try, because some people have a harder time with more of the awareness. It can feel a bit disassociative, and that's not healthy. But then there are also other meditations that are more embodied and be present in the body. And that can actually help get out of the thought loops. Another thing that I actually haven't done yet on this channel, but we will be bringing into the Art and Void membership, the community, is breath work. But those are more tools of like, okay, what to do when you start noticing these things are happening, and to realize it's a both and approach. Like the more you can actually have a healthy meditation practice, the more you can understand that the state of depression is a happening. And perhaps it might just be like, okay, you know what? I realize I'm feeling pretty low in energy. That creates a lot of thoughts that are not really helpful, that keep burying me and lowering me and driving me down even deeper and deeper. And if you can have an awareness of that, realize, okay, that's a symptom. I need to connect with something. I need to connect with, could be various things. It could be getting out and seeing and spending some time with the sun. It could be going on a walk. It could be something nature-based, really helpful to lift and create energy. But the three primary things I want to kind of dial in here and encourage is the nature of, one, your purpose, and feeling that connection to, this is what I was made to do, and this brings you life. And when you feel that connection, it just energizes you. And you might have thoughts of doubts or self doubts. You might have, will likely have moments along the way where that's part of anything. You're going to take on something, you want to do something, you're going to face challenges. But this state of energizing and aligning yourself with your calling and what you feel so in love with doing, and that could be your art, it could be something around just a creative project. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I'd love to get to know you more. So if you have a comment about what I'm saying, I'd love to hear that. Drop that in the chat. If you have any questions about what I'm saying or want some clarity, feel free to add that. I'd love to have this as a conversation. So that's one, connecting more to your purpose and passion. But then say, you're like, what you want to do, you have this vision for it, and you want to write your book, you want to do a book or write a song, whatever it might be, and you're feeling like you're lacking that energy for it. Another form of just finding connection is people. And that has been truly one of the most transformative parts of my journey is real, genuine, intentional community. And I found a brotherhood to do that. And so that's why ultimately I created the Art and Void community space, because I saw how transformative that was in my life. And I also continue to see, my people, the people I love, my fellow artists, struggle so much in certain development personally. And so this is more than just sort of getting together with your buddies and shit talking stuff or complaining about life. There can be some value to that catharsis and to that just sort of genuine connection, but really finding a deeper, past some of the surface levels and past some of the pretenses that we often put up, to find genuine, deeper connection and relationships. And when you do that time and time and time again on a consistent basis, you realize, I've realized that, wow, I'm not experiencing these depression states for such prolonged amounts of time. I'm bringing life back into my life. And one of the reasons that you can even find yourself in a state of depression with friends around you and with people that you know is because you're not truly expressing things. So we actually takes a lot more energy not to voice yourself, to suppress yourself, than to express yourself. Expression is really a natural outcome of just being. And when we are around people that we feel we have to limit ourselves with, we have to sort of play a certain role to appease them, that takes a lot of energy. And then that energy is depleting and depressing. And it creates depression. And so one of the beautiful things about the community that I was in, and again, what I'm trying to bring to more artists like you who are watching, is those masks come off, and we actually have practices to do that. So I know that's a little bit of a plug for the Art and Void community, but the reality is that when we are connected relationally, that is truly honest and is accepting for who we are with all of our weirdness and all of our darkness even, then that is such a relief, and it creates so much more space. And that is a healing element of moving past a life in these huge space and swaths of depressed energy. And just for a couple other keys to just some more the holistic approach, obviously just diet, sugar and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to get into that because I'm not a nutritionist. But obviously diet and exercise, huge in this. But I also, there can be this whole chicken before the egg thing that I totally understand. Like, you're depressed, it's hard to get out of bed. But again, with the mindfulness and the conscious ownership over the self. Something like, yeah, like this last week, I pigged out for Christmas. I was eating all kinds of stuff, and my energy was down. Funny enough, my energy was depleted, and then I start having a lot of thoughts that aren't really helpful, aren't really healthy, or not feeling good. So I noticed that symptom, and I realized, okay, I need to actually create more energy in my life. What is the thing that I can do? All right, got to change some diet stuff. I got to get back into working out. And so these are all things that when you are doing conscious work and taking some ownership over what is the experience that you are having and how you can change that, then you start to change your reality. You start to become a much healthier and happier person. And the last thing I'll talk on here is obviously what a lot of us know. And again, I want your thoughts if anyone's watching this and you want to chime in with some of the things that you've helped in your process with dealing with depression or just the darkness that comes with a lot of times these spells that we have as artists. Or if, again, you want me to clarify, please let me know. But obviously, the big one is transmuting. Transmuting, but not identifying with. Again, so taking this vortex and then channeling that into the art itself. And that is such a powerful tool that we artists have that, honestly, I don't know how other people don't. I don't know how other people in the world get by without being able to sing a song or write a poem or whatever it is. It's amazing. So this is a gift. If you're an artist, this is a precious gift that you have to transmute that into something beautiful. But the other side of that is we've seen far too many times with artists who have kind of gone to the extremes lengths of this, is that then that becomes their identity. They do something and it's like dark and brooding and intense, or even if it's not, the way that you got there to create whatever it is you did may have been part of that process. And then other people then look at you and say, wow, this is good. They affirm you for that. And so you latch on to then, okay, this is how I'm going to be accepted by the world. I need to live in this space. I need to exist in the darkness, so to speak. Otherwise, I have no value to offer. But to realize that no, you can go there consciously and play there and create from there, but you can come back out and observe it, and that is not you. Even your art is not you. It is an expression of you, and how you choose to express that is up to you. Yes, it can be a kind of an unconscious, free channeling, absolutely. But then when you step outside of it, you don't have to identify with it. You don't have to identify as that thing. So one of the things I'll just kind of leave off here is about, hopefully, if you start thinking about things in terms of this as energy, and being mindful of the symptoms of when that energy is being depressed, the dark thoughts, the heavy emotions, you can actually go to things that are underneath the surface and go directly to the energy, connect to that life force, those things that give you life, and the symptoms will disappear. And of course, it happens more and more as a practice. So this is not some kind of quick cure, although this actually, as I have been able to get better at this, it can actually be a quick fix because I'm adjusted to it, and I understand the state of it and how to get there more directly. So in the past, I might have had a month of just being like low and meeting up with people and going out and kind of looking down and all that kind of stuff. But now I really quickly recognize, I'm experiencing depression. Here's what I can do: 1, 2, and 3 things, and it can be small. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. So again, welcome to those who are watching the stream. This is my first time doing a live stream. I'd like to do more of these actually. So if you have any feedback, please let me know and chime in with any of your thoughts. We're talking about depression and how artists navigate this really from my experience of it, and a lot of the modalities and the ways to alleviate depression in our lives. Thinking about it more in terms of energy and not just emotions, not as an identifier of your personality, not even as dark thoughts or spiraling thoughts, ruminating thoughts. And then this just kind of came to mind too. I'm sure some of you have heard the adage of anxiety is worrying about the future and depression is living in the past. So you're kind of regretting things in the past. So this is the tricky thing with us artists, because we often look to the past and we're taking the breakup, or we're taking the drama of our parents, and then we're living in that space so often, and then we're trying to do something with that and create from that. So this is a real tricky skill to deal with. And so I don't want to say this is just the magic pill, because I don't really believe in that. But this is a practice, and the more we do this with skill and grace, less of us, we don't have to suffer. We don't have to suffer through our art. We can experiencing the depths and the emotions of going to these places as we create our art, but also come out, take a nice cool shower, enjoy the sunset, enjoy the coffee, enjoy connections that we have to each other, and reflect on those things when we need to, and then let them go. Let them be its own thing. Let your art become its own entity as you release it. So these are my thoughts. These are my experiences. I'm trying to look at some of my notes here and see if there's anything else I felt like addressing. I just, again, as an artist, this is a gift and not a curse. And so if we can actually embrace this but navigate it, I think that's the main thrust, along with understanding the energy of it. So if anyone else, if you're watching this later, I'll keep this stream on the channel. So if any thoughts come up, I'll address any comments that people have. This is not intended to be a completely all-encompassing, treatise on depression, but I hope that you have found maybe a different way to reframe things, and then also look at some tools available to you so that you can navigate this through being an empowered artist, being an empowered individual, to use all of these emotions and these frameworks as though you are an artist of them yourself and not subject to them. So if that connects with you, awesome. Please leave a comment. Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Also, for those of you who really want to connect further, I have the Art and Void community, and there's a link below to the school community. And we do weekly calls. Last week, we did a New Year's ceremony for starting off the year with manifestation practices and ceremony for creating that energy. We're just this week, if you're seeing this before, adding a night owl call. So we're going to have we do a Monday morning call, and we're adding a Wednesday late night call. So you can join up for that for us night owls, and a lot of other stuff going on. I mentioned breath work earlier, and I actually have a good friend of mine who's been doing breath work for years and years and years, and he's actually going to guide a breathwork session, and that's all included part of the community when you join, and you can try that out for 7 days. There's no cost for it, for that 7-day trial, and then test it out, see if it's the right tribe for you. I think I'm going to end it there. This is my first live stream, and I'd love to do more of these. Hopefully you guys connect with it. Go ahead and leave a comment, and if you, again, want to take the next step, hop into the community, just test it out. I think that's it. Yeah, have a blessed